Here we are. The door sticks a little. You can put your luggage right there and hang your coat by the door. We'll go into the kitchen and have a little chat. Right this way. Bedroom's right above us, on the first landing. Everything is cleared out for you, of course. Please have a seat. Mr. Peters have agreed to wait a little while and give me a ride back. Very kind of him. And we do need to get back to the mainland before dark. So I hope you don't mind too much that I don't show you around the island. I'm sure I don't need to tell you how to do your job, but there are a few peculiarities to this place that you need to be made aware of before I leave. I've had to figure things out as I went along, but that's a bit risky, especially with recent events. Yes, the increased seismic activity. So I thought a little chat here in the kitchen before I leave would probably be for the best. By the way, would you like a cup of coffee? I put the kettle on when I heard Peter's arriving. An unmistakable sound, that little boat of his. The only contact with the outside world. His little engine is the most comforting sound I know. Here you go. Leaving this place feels very strange. I have become attuned to the island after being here for so long. Been 8 years now, and I would have stayed on if not for my knee. But I just can't manage all the stairs anymore. Yes, it gets lonely sometimes, but honestly, I'm so used to it by now, I'm not sure I'm fit for human company again, other than in short bursts. How about you? How long have you been a lighthouse keeper? That's quite a while. And where were you posted before? Ah, I see. On the mainland, right? And there's a town nearby, if I'm not mistaken. Living alone here on Sundered Isle will be a big change for you. How far out we are. We're 20 miles from the coast, more or less. And Peters brings supplies out there about once a week. Yes, he's the only one who comes here. Might be a bit longer between deliveries sometimes, depending on the weather, of course. And the island moves around a little when the dreamer stirs. Good old Peters. His boat is pretty quiet. Engine has a very soft hum to it. Just give him a shopping list when he drops by, and he'll get everything for you on the next delivery. Budget's not too big, I'm afraid. Increasing it would be a nice incentive to get people to stay here, but I guess it's been a non-issue for as long as I've been here. I'm content with the basics. The only thing you'll always have in abundance out here is coffee. Have to get up multiple times a night to trim the wick and replenish the oil. And therefore, you, like me, have been provided with 25 pounds of coffee. The other basics that are always included are beef, pork, flour, rice, beans, potatoes, onions, sugar, and vinegar. Pretty much what's listed in the Lighthouse Keeper's manual. And there's crackers, of course. Not hardtack, just common crackers. Did you feel that? Yes, a small tremor. The dreamer stirs below. I hope you're an introvert. Most lighthouse keepers are, I suppose. Otherwise you won't last long out here. You tend the light, watch the weather, and pass the time with hobbies. That's about it. I've left you a ton of books. I'm afraid they're a bit dark, most of them. I like the gothic, ghost stories, and tales of the sea. Joseph Conrad, Mary Shelley, Edgar Allan Poe, Anne Radcliffe, that sort of stuff. I'm taking Mysteries of Udolpho with me, since I haven't finished it yet, but the rest are yours to keep. You are used to Fresnel lenses, I suppose. Yes, they're pretty standard. We have an old one here, one of the earliest models. It bears a red light, revolving at intervals of 35 seconds. It's big and heavy, so in order to turn, it sits in a pool of mercury. You need to clean it out now and then. Yes, that's part of the general upkeep. Remember to scan the horizon regularly. Not just for ships, but to make sure that it's still horizontal, if you know what I mean. I like the sound of the waves, the way they push and pull, the wild power of a storm. Underwater it must still be quite peaceful. Stormy weather is when it sleeps the most soundly. The hum of a storm underwater mutes other sounds, or so we believe. It is very sensitive to sounds. That's the biggest danger out here. That's why there's no radio, no TV. Well, there's no signal anyway, I suppose. The island is a force of nature, immeasurable, ancient, and merciless. The tremors we have so far been able to blame on seismic activity will pale in comparison to what will happen if the dreamer awakes. As long as it sleeps, it stays in one place, so we must shield it from any sound that might awaken it. By the red light of the lighthouse, we guard its slumber. It's a great responsibility you have been given here. I hope you understand that. Anything that stirs the ocean, makes noise, must of course be avoided. That's why the lighthouse is here in the first place. Modern ships are noisy, same with airplanes. But we who live on its back must also consider the noise we make ourselves. There is a list on the kitchen door of things that are forbidden here. You need to memorize it. There are to be no speakers of any kind, so no radio, phone or TV, no singing, no music, and so on. You should study the list as soon as I've left. There's little room for error, after all. Peter's engine once a week is a necessary risk to keep us here as custodians of silence. No one talks about it. It's almost a bit peculiar. I suppose most people who know prefers not to think about it. And so it's left to me to explain everything. You can apply for transfer again, of course, but it might take some time. It's difficult to find a replacement when the location is so remote. And I can't stay any longer. So I'm afraid you're stuck here for the foreseeable future. And don't mention any of this to Peters. He doesn't like to talk about it either, and he's the only one willing to come here once a week. It's all a bit hush-hush, you see. Some believe that it knows when someone talks about it. I don't know about that, but there is certainly a mental connection. When I first arrived, I didn't notice. I think it needs a bit of time to develop. But after a few months, I could definitely tell. There was a certain tug, a pull in the back of my mind. It will probably happen to you too. When we live on its back, it's hard to avoid. Its mind is immense, and we are very close to it. Meditation has helped me. You must learn to quiet your own mind. Live slowly. Speak seldom. Do not use a hammer, and do not, under any circumstance, whistle. It's all on the list on the kitchen door. Sometimes I get caught in its dreams. Time works differently in the dream world, you see. When I wake up, my memories of that other place are hazy, but it feels like I stay longer and longer each time. I can remember the feel of certain places there. Strange, dark places. And when I look up at the sky now, It seems very strange that it's just flat and blue. I expect it to be churning and patterned, full of ripples and movements, like black tentacles in a pool of thick. Never mind. I'm sure your nights will be peaceful, at least in the beginning. I've left you a couple of fishing rods, by the way, and bait and tackle too. On the north point, there is a flat rock that protrudes out over the water a little. That's a good fishing spot. I suggest you eat mostly fish here and save the meat for the deep ones. They do prefer meat, and if they don't get beef or pork when they are owed it, they might realize that you are also made of meat. I see them sometimes on the shore, humanoid and standing on two legs, but with fish heads and arms that are too long. Some are grey, others have green streaks or dark blue patterns on their skin. Their arms and their back are webbed. Their eyes are big and unblinking, and they have long, sharp teeth, like a piranha. You have to get pretty close to see. From up here, they're easily mistaken for driftwood or seaweed. I've mostly seen them at night. I don't think they like the sun. Don't enter the water if you see them around. Stay on land. They can wade onto the shallows, but they never leave the water. At least I've never seen them on dry land, but you never know. No, you don't need to feed them on a regular basis, only when they've calmed the dreamer. When the dreamer stirs more often than usual, that is cause for concern, and that's usually when I call the deep ones, or the fish folk if you like, and they will calm the dreamer. It might not always work, so don't bet on it, but so far they have succeeded, and they want meat as payment. Usually about 5 pounds of it will do. Leave it in the water on the sandy beach, just west of the pier. That's the same place you go to call out to them. I call it prayer, because that's what it feels like. Usually I kneel in the water and close my eyes. I let the waves wash over me, feel the push and pull of them, and I just call out for help. With my mind, of course, not my mouth. You must be quiet here, remember? You'll know how to do it when you try. It's sort of intuitive. There's always at least a few of them around. After a while, you'll be able to pinpoint where they are. Feel their mood as well, and when they've helped you, you can tell that they want something in return. the meat that Peters brings you should be reserved for them, and you must live on the fish you can catch, plus the dry food. Yes, it's a lot of fish and beans. Boring, but healthy at least. I suppose you could ask Peters to bring you something extra. But if it's not in the budget, you must take it from whatever personal funds you might have. And that harmonica I see poking up from your backpack, that comes back to the mainland with me. You need to find some other quiet hobby if you don't like reading. I should get going. Peters is probably getting impatient. It's a bit daunting to be on your own in the beginning, but I'm sure you'll grow to the task, like I did. Good luck to you.